raised by teachers. My mother was a teacher, my grandmother was a teacher, and before my career in tech, I spent 6 years working at a preschool working with toddlers. So you could say that I've grown up in the classroom. Learning environments have been my norm. But nothing would have prepared me for how much I would learn and unlearn when I became a mother myself. 18 months ago, on Christmas Day, my son was brought into this world. He was unexpected and miraculous in every way. We certainly weren't expecting a Christmas birthday. That was a surprise. And my entry into motherhood was a crash course in complexity. There's no manual, there's no onboarding, there are no clear benchmarks of success. You're learning on the job, making high-stakes decisions, and just trying to stay grounded in something bigger than the chaos of the moment. And this environment actually felt quite familiar to me, not because of my time spent working with kids or my time in the classroom, but because it reminded me of building startups. We spend so much time designing systems at work to help the organization scale and keep people on track. And we spend so much time designing systems for learning at school. But what we rarely talk about is the systems of the home. And home is where some of the most formative learnings happen. So the question is, what messages are our home systems teaching our kids? There is an invisible curriculum of every household. Kids are constantly paying attention, not just to what we say, but what we model. They know who's updating the calendar or who's remembering the birthdays. They know who notices when the milk runs out or who's packing the snacks for soccer. They know whether family life is a shared effort or one burden that falls on one person inside of the household. But one thing us parents often fail to teach is independence. We're often doing things for our kids and not with them. And not because we don't believe in them, but just because we're rushing or we're exhausted or it just feels easier in the moment. But the problem is we're missing those opportunities to teach ownership, autonomy, and contribution. One memory that sticks out to me from my time working in the preschool, I was working in the 2-year-old classroom, and this dad came in early to pick up his daughter. And this little girl, she's 2 years old, and just like all of her other classmates, she was eating her snack and drinking water out of a small little plastic cup. And her dad walked in, and with this astonished look on his face, he said, "She can drink out of that without a lid?" And just like that, something shifted. She spilled the very next sip. It was as if her confidence leaked out alongside that water. In that moment, she didn't respond to her own capabilities. She was responding to his expectations of her. And that story has stuck with me because it taught me that kids are constantly looking to us for cues about who they are and what they're capable of. And when we start to believe in their competence, they believe it too. And research backs this up. The Harvard Center for the Developing Child says that those early years are so important for developing executive functioning skills. Skills like planning, memory, and self-control. And those skills grow best in environments where kids are active participants and not passive observers. My time working with toddlers has taught me that they thrive on rhythm and visibility. When routines are clear and consistent, they show up differently. They feel secure, they feel capable, and they feel empowered. I saw it in the classroom, I saw it at the daycare, and now I see it at home. My son, like every other toddler, loves to throw his food on the floor. Now, it's not the mess that surprised me. That seemed quite normal. I had gotten him this little broom just his size, and it was actually what did surprise me was what he did afterwards. One day after lunch, he pushed his high chair outside and started sweeping up the crumbs behind it. And he is only 18 months old. We didn't teach him to do this or tell him that he had to, but after seeing me do it day and day again, he modeled what he saw. Kids are always paying attention, and they're absorbing our behaviors. But the problem is, as parents, we're often flying blind. We're operating without systems. We've been doing this all of our lives. And so we're relying on our own memory and our own instinct. And the problem is that the mental load is invisible, which makes it hard to share and even harder to model. And long before I became a parent, I was studying these systems. I've been talking to parents and caregivers and teachers for years. And the same message that I heard over and over and over again is that the logistics of modern family life are overwhelming. We're using whiteboards and spreadsheets and sticky notes to keep everyone on track, and yet still, this burden falls disproportionately on one person, and usually that person is mom. And so this insight has led me to start my company, Hearth. After looking and studying working with kids and studying families, I found and learned that kids are shaped by the environments that we create for them. And I had the belief that if we could design better tools designed with intention and inclusivity, we could turn that chaos of daily life into a shared effort. And now, years later, as both a founder and a mom, that belief has only deepened. I now know, based on building a company and raising a child, that structure is not the enemy of creativity. It's the condition that allows it to flourish. We don't wait for the company to be mature to build systems. We build them early so that people can thrive within them. So the big idea that I want to share with you today is this: home is the first classroom. When we make the invisible visible, and when we show our kids the routines of our lives, and we show them the tools of our systems, and we invite them to participate, they'll rise to the occasion. An 18-month-old with a broom is learning more than just cleaning. Toddlers can track their routines, they can contribute to tasks, and they can feel that sense of empowerment. And studies show that kids who are given household responsibilities at an early age are more likely to develop strong social skills, academic competence, and self-sufficiency. But most importantly, those kids are resilient, they are confident, and they are ready to take captain their day. And this goes beyond the home. As a founder and a leader, I found that those same principles that help children thrive are the principles that help teams thrive too. When we invite people in early, give them real responsibility, and make expectations clear, we invite them to lead. We're not just here to get compliance, we're here to create the environment where autonomy and initiative can thrive. Leadership, just like parenting, isn't about control. It's about creating the conditions where others can grow. And what I've learned, both as a mother and as an entrepreneur, is that independence doesn't equal disconnection. It's about designing with trust. So what can we do? We can let them help. Invite your kids to add things to the grocery list. Let them help with planning the schedule for the week ahead. Let them throw that tantrum when they're frustrated and they just want you to do it for them. Let them take risks and encourage them to believe in themselves and know that they can do it for themselves. Talk out loud so that mental load becomes a shared knowledge and not something that you carry alone. Use tools, whether that's a calendar, a chart, or a Hearth display, so that you can make your systems visible to others. And it's not about outsourcing parenting to technology. It's about using these tools to support communication, collaboration, but most importantly, confidence. Because when families operate like a team, everyone thrives. Home is where we learn who we are. So let's make it a classroom with intention.